Karoline Leavitt stood on the Hannity stage at Fox News, the spotlight illuminating the deep blue suit of the 27-year-old White House press secretary. Her heart pounded before the high-stakes showdown. Just minutes earlier, Niro had stepped out declaring, "Trump is a disaster and Leavitt is his puppet." The brief but sharp attack sent the crowd into a frenzy, applause mixing with whistles ringing out. Leavitt, gripping the microphone tightly, her eyes blazing, didn't flinch before the millions watching. Niro, with 2 Oscars and a new empire, was confident he'd overpower this young MAGA woman. But Leavitt, armed with her Catholic faith and unwavering loyalty to Trump, saw this as her chance to prove him wrong for calling her a puppet. She stepped into the light, ready to turn the stage into her battlefield. This wasn't just a debate. It was Leavitt's moment to flip the script and steal the spotlight from Niro. Before diving into the story, comment where you're watching from and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the latest stories. The studio glowed with bright lights, the audience falling silent as Robert Niro stood center stage. His black suit hugged his frame, his gaze as cold and sharp as the Vito Corleone he once portrayed. The camera panned slowly, scattered applause rising from the liberal corner as Sean Hannity introduced Hollywood legend, never afraid to speak. His mind, Robert Niro. Niro nodded slightly, grabbed the mic, and wasted no time landing his first blow. "I'm here to say one thing," he began, his deep voice resonating. "Donald Trump is the biggest disaster America has ever seen, and Karoline Leavitt, the Gen Z kid, is his newest puppet, a mouthpiece who knows nothing beyond reading the scripts Trump shoves in her hands." The crowd erupted, MAGA supporters whistling in protest, liberals clapping wildly, the studio air instantly heating up like a furnace. Niro leaned forward, his left hand raised like a seasoned stage actor, his eyes sweeping the audience. "You think I'm kidding?" He smirked, his thick New York accent from Little Italy days cutting through. "I've seen guys like Trump, con men, all flash and no substance. I've played gangsters in movies, but Trump's the real gangster, and Leavitt's his childish lackey. She's 27, hasn't lived enough to know what's going on, and she dares stand before the nation as a spokesperson. For a clown." Laughter roared from the liberal side, a few people holding up phones to record, knowing this line would soon spread online. He didn't stop. Niro stepped to the side, pointing straight at the camera as if addressing Leavitt backstage. "She's the youngest press secretary in history, right? Sounds nice, but what has she done besides cover for Trump? Look at the signal leak. She let the world see Trump's plans by adding a reporter to the chat by mistake. I don't know if she's incompetent or intentional, but if that's how she represents the American people, we're in big trouble." The audience howled with laughter, someone shouting, "Right on, Bobby!" Niro shrugged, a smirk curling, his lips as if he just delivered a knockout punch effortlessly. Sean Hannity tried to cut in. "Bob, she's coming out to face you right now. What do you think?" But Niro interrupted instantly, his voice sharper than ever. "Face me? I'd love that. I want to see her explain how she justifies being Trump's puppet, a guy I've called a danger for years." I stood outside his courthouse, told the crowd to their faces he's unfit to lead, and now he's back with a Gen Z kid as his megaphone. It's shameful. He waved a dismissive hand, the audience splitting, half cheering, half booing loudly. Niro paced the stage, his voice dropping low, dripping with drama like his Travis Bickle in Taxi Driver. "You know, I'm not just talking for fun. I've seen America through decades. I grew up on real streets, not fake mansions like Trump. I make movies. I built now. I live real. Trump just destroys and lives it. She's the young face he uses to fool people like, look, I'm modern. But she's not fooling me. She's got Catholic faith, prays every day, fine. But if she's praying to cover for Trump, even God can't save her." Laughter erupted again, louder this time, a few standing to clap. He paused, turning toward backstage where Leavitt waited. "Karoline, I know you hear me, Citus," he said, his tone brimming with challenge. "You tweet you're not afraid of anyone, that you'll defend Trump at all costs. So come out here, I want to hear you. No edits, no scripts, just the truth. But I'll warn you, I don't go easy. I've fought bigger than you my whole life, from film sets to politics, and I've never lost." He pointed straight at the wings, the crowd roaring with applause, the tension thick as a taut string. Niro sat down, tapping the table lightly, a smug grin plastered on his face. "She wants to be Trump's mouthpiece, fine, but don't expect me to stay quiet when she steps out. I'm here to expose Trump, Leavitt, the whole crew. This isn't a movie, it's real, and I'll show the country how she falls." He winked at Hannity, who laughed loudly. "Karoline, you hear that? He's ready." The crowd cheered, phones raised high, all eyes locked on the wings where Leavitt prepared to emerge. Backstage. Karoline Leavitt stood behind the curtain, the stage lights casting a faint glow on her face. Niro's words echoed. "Jenny, Z-puppet, clueless kid. Each one a dagger, but she didn't tremble. Her deep blue suit hugged her frame, blonde hair tied back neatly, fists clenched, eyes ablaze. This was Fox News turf, where she'd appeared on Fox and Friends, and she wouldn't let Niro win. She turned to her assistant, voice sharp. "Where's that old Niro clip?" The assistant held up an iPad. "Here. He praised Obama in 2016. Contradicts him now." Leavitt smirked. "Good. Send it to production. I want it on screen when I go out." The stage lights hit Karoline Leavitt at full force. As she emerged from backstage, her high heels clicked loudly on the floor, the deep blue suit accentuating her petite but determined frame. The ad break music faded, and Sean Hannity stood, raising a hand to introduce. "And here's Karoline Leavitt, White House press secretary, ready to face Robert Niro." The crowd exploded, MAGA supporters clapping thunderously, liberals whistling in mockery. Leavitt nodded slightly to Hannity, her gaze sweeping the room before locking on Niro. He sat there, arms crossed, smirk still intact, as if waiting to watch this 27-year-old crumble under his earlier assault. But Leavitt hadn't come to lose. She'd come to destroy. She gripped the mic, standing tall, her voice ringing clear across the studio. "Mr. Niro, I heard everything you just said. Gen Z puppet clueless kid. You think you can stand there with your 2 Oscars and Goodfellas voice and humiliate me and President Trump in front of the nation? You're wrong." The room fell. Silent for a moment, stunned by her confidence. Niro raised an eyebrow, smirking, but Leavitt gave him no chance to interrupt. "You call Trump a gangster, me a childish lackey, but have you looked at yourself? A Hollywood legend living in luxury off no hospitality, starring in flops like The Alto Knights, and you dare talk about failure. You've made millions playing tough guys, but in real life, you're just an out-of-touch relic who doesn't get the American people." Applause broke out from the MAGA side, a few standing to cheer. Leavitt stepped closer to the table, her eyes locked on Niro. "You mocked me over the signal leak. Fine, I didn't run that chat, but what do you know about accountability, Mr. Niro? You stood outside Trump's courthouse, called him a malignant narcissist, but ever looked in the mirror." She signaled production, and the big screen lit up. An old 2016 clip played, Niro in a grey suit, grinning on CNN. "I like how Obama handles things. He's smart, he's got vision." The clip froze. Leavitt turned to him, voice cutting. "That's you praising Obama. The guy Trump beat to bring the change millions of Americans wanted. So who's the hypocrite here? You hate Trump, but you backed what he fixed. I may be young, but at least I'm not pretending like you." The crowd erupted, applause and whistles shaking the studio. Niro gripped his chair, face flushing, clearly unprepared for this 27-year-old to fire back with ammo. He opened his mouth to retort, but Leavitt cut him off. "I'm not done, Mr. Niro. You say I'm Trump's puppet. I'm here because I believe in what we're doing, making America strong again, from the economy to the border. And you, who do you represent besides Hollywood elites? You live in mansions, open no restaurants, while I grew up in New Hampshire in a middle-class family, knowing what Americans need. Who's really out of touch?" The MAGA crowd leapt up, shouts of "Karoline! Karoline!" echoing from every corner. Hannity laughed loudly, raising a hand as if to calm things down. But Leavitt wasn't finished. She stepped closer, pointing straight at Niro. "You mock my faith. Say I pray to cover for Trump. I pray for strength. Strength you don't understand, because you only play tough on screen. I don't need Oscars to prove myself. I've got the American people behind me." Applause now spread across the studio, even some neutrals nodding, swept up in her momentum. Niro leaned back in his chair, hands trembling, his smug grin gone, replaced by rare unease. She leaned forward, voice low but clear through the mic. "You want unedited truth? Here's the truth. Trump won because the people chose him, not you. I'm 27, but I've worked for him since college, from the White House to the campaign. I'm not a puppet. I'm a voice for millions. And you're done, Mr. Niro. The Alto Knights lost $40 million bucks. What standing do you have to talk about success or failure?" Niro shot up, pointing at her. "You think you're clever, huh? I fought bigger than you my whole life." But his voice faltered, lacking conviction, and the crowd started whistling in mockery. Leavitt smiled faintly, eyes never leaving him. "Fight who you want, but today you lost. I'm not here for your amusement. I'm here to show the country how wrong you are." She turned to the audience, raising a hand. "Who agrees with me that Mr. Niro should retire?" The room exploded, clapping, cheering, and whistling blending into a victory symphony. Hannity jumped up, clapping and laughing. "Karoline, you just made this stage yours." Leavitt sat across from Niro, legs crossed, gaze steady. He stared back, hands gripping the chair, face red as if slapped. "You're good," he muttered, just loud enough for the mic. "But I'm not done." Leavitt shrugged, replying, "Neither am I, Mr. Niro. Ask away, if you dare." The clip of Leavitt playing the old video, and her "you're done" line hit the web instantly via Fox News' team. Within seconds, Leavitt freezes Niro rocketed on X, viewers at home sharing it frantically. Niro sat there, eyes darkening, clearly blindsided by the counterpunch. Leavitt, with Fox News sharpness and Trump loyalty, had turned his attack into her springboard. This wasn't just a comeback, it was peak destruction, and the nation watched a Gen Z star take down a Hollywood legend live on air. Her. Robert Niro sat across from Leavitt, hands clenched on the chair's arms, face flushed as if his 81-year reputation had been slapped, his eyes darkened, the smug grin gone, replaced by anger mixed with confusion. Leavitt had turned him from Hollywood icon to punchline. "You're done. You live in luxury mansions." Each word was a knife to his pride. Sean Hannity, still between them, laughed loudly. "Bob, got anything to say? She just lit this studio." But Niro didn't laugh. He took a deep breath, stood, and pointed straight at Leavitt, his voice trembling but straining to stay steely. "You think you're so smart, kid?" he growled, his deep Goodfellas tone now tinged with strain. "You dare stand here in front of me using old clips to lecture me? Who do you think you are to say I'm done?" The room hushed for a moment, awaiting a sharp comeback, but his words lacked their usual punch. Leavitt sat there, legs crossed, gaze unflinching. "You're Trump's puppet, I was right." Niro pressed on, hand raised like he was on a Broadway stage. "You're 27, haven't lived enough to know what's what, and you dare come on Fox News to teach me about truth. I've seen guys like Trump. He's a menace, and you're just his megaphone." Mocking whistles rose from the MAGA side, a few yelling, Sit down, Bob. Darrow spun toward them, eyes blazing. You want me quiet? I won't shut up. I'm here for the truth. Trump's unfit, and so is she. But his voice wavered, unconvincing, and laughter broke out. Hannity cut in, hand raised to ease the tension. Bob, cool it. She brought receipts. How do you answer that clip? Darrow turned back, pointing at the now dark screen. An old clip, so what? I can change my mind. I'm not a puppet like her, reading Trump's script word for word. His retort only fueled louder jeers. Someone shouted, "Really done now, Bobby?" Leavitt leaned forward, smiling faintly. You want to talk about scripts? I don't need anyone to write my words. But what about you, Mr. Darrow? You've lived off scripts your whole life, from The Godfather to The Irishman. I'm here because I believe in what I say. The crowd clapped again, louder this time. Darrow gripped the mic tightly, his face beet red as if about to explode. Don't get cocky with me, he shouted, hands trembling. I built my career from nothing in Little Italy, not thanks to Trump or Fox News. I've got films. What do you have besides a mouth reading his orders? But the MAGA audience's applause drowned him out. Another round of laughter erupted as someone yelled, "The Alto Knights lost $40 million, Bob!" Hannity sat back, laughing loudly. Karoline, you've got him fired up now. Darrow turned to Hannity, voice sharp. She's not firing me up. She's just an arrogant kid. I've been fighting Trump since she was in diapers. I stood outside his courthouse, spoke straight to the crowd, and her, she just prays and covers up. But his words lacked weight. Leavitt replied, voice calm. I pray for strength, Mr. Darrow. What do you pray for when the Alto Knights flopped so hard? Laughter roared through the studio. Darrow stepped back, dropping the mic on the table, his gaze blank. The aftermath. Social media erupts. As the commercial break hit, the drama didn't stop. When the show resumed, Darrow still sat there, trying to regain his composure. I'm not done, he muttered, glaring at Leavitt. You want to play this game? I'll show the country who you are, a childish opportunist. But his voice shook, and the audience no longer cheered for him. Hannity shrugged. Bob, she scored points. What have you got to turn this around? Darrow paused, then said quietly, I don't need to turn it around. I'm Robert Darrow, and she's nothing. After the show, Darrow left the studio with a dark expression, his team scurrying behind. He got in the car, opened his phone, and typed a tweet from his official account. Karoline Leavitt is arrogant, but Trump's still the biggest danger. I didn't lose today. The first reply came from a MAGA account. You lost, Bob. Go retire. He tossed the phone onto the seat, hands shaking, clearly unable to accept defeat. The next day, he appeared on CNN, trying to hit back. She thinks she's clever, but I've seen it all. I've fought Trump for years, and she's just his shadow. But the damage was done. Leavitt's rise, Darrow's fall. For Leavitt, the victory was a political earthquake. Trump tweeted, Karoline Leavitt was fantastic. She just showed Darrow and the fake Hollywood crowd the truth. Very proud. Indeed, MAGA fans crowned her. Killer Karoline, a Gen Z conservative star. Fox News commentators hailed her as the future of the movement. For Darrow, it was a humiliating blow. Memes flooded X, Twitter. When you think you're a gangster but get schooled by Gen Z, even liberal outlets admitted he underestimated her. His legacy remained, but the clash exposed his fading relevance in modern political battles. The lesson: never underestimate your opponent. Leavitt won because she studied Darrow's past, using his 2016 Obama praise against him. stayed calm under fire, never letting his insults shake her. Turned weakness into strength. Owning the Gen Z label instead of running from it, Darrow lost because he underestimated youth, assuming experience alone would win, relied on old tactics, bullying instead of debating, failed to adapt, ignoring how social media reshapes power. Final thought. This wasn't just a TV clash, it was a generational shift. Leavitt proved that in today's America, preparation beats reputation, and a speed on social media beats stature. Darrow, once untouchable, now faces a question. Is he still a political force or just a Hollywood legend out of his depth? Meanwhile, Leavitt's star is rising, and Trump's enemies just learned, don't mess with killer Karoline. End of story. Let me know if you'd like any refinements.